Is on with me. You know him from the Washington Examiner as well as Fox News. Byron, I want to touch on a couple of your recent columns, and thank you for being here with me. Your latest one, a renewed war means renewed GOP midterm worries. This sums up a classic dilemma that we got, even those of us who have kind of given up on the latest MOU and would like to see Trump just vanquish the Iranian regime as best he can. And that does provide a big headache politically. Where do you think the public is at on this war? And do you see a path for Trump to do some lasting good in the Middle East and not make himself too vulnerable to Democrat sweep in the midterms?
Well, first of all, on the substance of the matter, Trump set out to ensure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. Now, he can't do that forever, but he can do it for a pretty long time. And he's done that. As a matter of fact, I think Hugh published a column today saying it's going to be years and years before Iran could reconstitute a nuclear program. So on the substance of the thing, the goal of the war has been accomplished. Now, as far as public opinion is concerned, most public opinion polls show, depending on how you ask the question, show that disapproval being about twice approval. In other words, it's about 2-to-1, 60+% disapproval to 30+ approval. And now, as far as the midterms are concerned, what is worrisome to Republicans is not that a lot of Republican voters are deeply concerned about the war. From what I can tell, they're actually not all that concerned about the war, but they're very concerned about the cost of living. So to the degree that they see the war as increasing the price of gas, which it has for a while and it's been going down, now it's going back up, they don't like that. And the most worrisome thing to a number of Republican strategists right now is that they see independent voters kind of thinking and acting like Democrats on the war issue, meaning they oppose it. So they're worried about that. They're not really worried about their Republican voters turning on Trump in the war or anything like that. They're worried almost 100% about cost of living issues, but they are worried about independents sort of joining with Democrats in opposing the war.
So I want to talk about another element of the war, which is important here. And I fundamentally agree with you that he's done so much damage to Iranian's nuclear program and their ability to have ballistic missiles and to constitute a robust armed forces that is a conqueror in the region. That feels like that's been set back a decade plus, maybe 2 decades. And I think that's a W right there. But the Strait continues to provide problems because if there isn't free commerce through the Strait, then I think Trump would see that as a setback, and I think the media would frame it pretty successfully as a setback, and this does speak to your cost of living issues. So what is the path forward to keep the Strait going and smoothed over in the run-up to this election?
Well, it would be seen as a setback because it would be a setback. I mean, it would
right.
Substantively, that would be a really bad thing. This is one of those things that was created by the beginning of the war. And so while I said that Trump has accomplished his number one goal in the war, which is about the nuclear program, what happened is that Iran's retaliation by closing the Strait created this new thing that became the most important issue in the war. So that's kind of what's going on now. I think the only solution, first of all, you really can't let Iran establish some new precedent whereby a country takes international waters and turns it into a sort of toll road. International navigation has to be able to go on freely, and so that means that the United States probably has to militarily assure the safety of shipping in the Strait until the other nations, and other nations are working on this, finish workarounds to get oil out of there without having making sure that the Strait is just not this choke point that it is right now. So the U.S. is in a position for the indefinite future of having to do something militarily to ensure freedom of navigation in the Strait, or the war has ended with a really, really bad negative.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be what we're all watching. Byron, I want to switch gears here because you have another important column that asks, I think, a important question. What DSA wants, what the Democrat Socialists of America want. I've been playing with this concept a little bit because they simultaneously want socialism and open borders, which are impossible to both. I think it's impossible to have either, but it's definitely impossible to have both. They seem to be focused largely on Israel, even though, again, we're talking about cost of living issues and we're talking about trying to have the workers be able to be adequately represented within their companies and make enough money. But then also somehow we can't like Israel. It's a very odd amalgam of values. So what is it that they want?
Well, fortunately, they told us in this new DSA platform that was released recently. And, in terms of international relations, you would think that if a political party was doing its platform, it would have something to say about China, about Russia,
Sure,
or about Iran. It has none of that. The only country it talks about is a country that doesn't exist, which is Palestine.
right.
So it's deeply concerned about Palestine. But I don't think that's the real lead of the platform, which is that it's basically the platform itself is indistinguishable from communism. I mean, basically everything is taken over by the government, and it's painting a picture of this wonderful new world in which you control your own labor. And I'll read you a little bit. It says, you have no debt. You don't need health insurance. You don't pay a mortgage or have a landlord because comfortable housing is a human right. Your retirement is publicly funded. Food, education, energy, medicine, and transportation are not for-profit businesses. They are common goods and utilities. So we have this wonderful new world and a classless society that they claim to be able to create basically by taxing the rich. And this is what brings in, the famous Margaret Thatcher quote, which is that socialism fails because they always run out of other people's money to spend. And apparently their platform is they can confiscate enough wealth from the wealthiest people to give everybody else everything.
And you also note rightly in the column that they want to destroy the government of the U.S. as it was created in the Constitution. They're openly talking about destroying the Declaration of Independence. Vital reporting from Byron York, as always. Catch him at the Washington Examiner and on Fox. Thanks, Byron. Appreciate you. We'll be right back.